Hi everyone, this is my video about what's wrong with the movie Eddington. Although um, there doesn't have to be something wrong. On my other channel, I always spend a lot of time coming up with titles. So on this channel, I just wanted just a simple template. So everything is titled "What's quote wrong unquote" with the movie. So I just saw this last night. I was very excited to review it, but I literally slept on it because it's just that type of movie. Like, you need to sleep on it. Although I slept lately, I've been listening to like the rain. Well, actually, mostly flying. Um, uh, you know, 10 hours of flying. But for some reason, I just listened to the entire first season of Transformers, which was weirdly enough kind of soothing because since that show was made for like 5-year-olds, it's like constant. It is almost like rain because there's no breaks where it suddenly gets quiet and introspective. It's just nothing but shouting and lasers and explosions and jets. So that all kind of blends into a river of sound, which is weirdly enough easy to fall asleep to. Another thing, and these movie reviews sometimes get normies who don't watch my other channel. I have a chronic cough, so I'm going to cough. But the other thing is, I don't know what allergen is in the air, but I stepped outside to go see this movie yesterday, and I've not stopped sneezing since then. So this is I think last summer I started going to the movies after seeing movies like 2 or 3 times a year. And it was the craziest thing. There was just something good to great, mostly in the good range, like every 2 weeks, sometimes every week. I saw 2 movies this week. Although one was a movie, just a repeat of, I saw Superman for the second time. Definitely going to see it a third. So usually I know like a lot about a movie before I go to see it. This one, I only really got aware of it like a few weeks ago when this one exchange in the street, just verbal, between Joaquin Phoenix and Pedro Pascal. And this looks good. I really didn't know much about it. I thought it was going to be some sort of like Coen Brothers meets like Robert Altman, like small town drama, kind of funny, kind of ironic. And I guess it was, but it was so much more. I haven't seen any of the movies by this Ari Aster guy. I'm guessing he's the new thing, or Midsummer did well. I know barely anything about it. I literally just saw it because social media, I saw some scenes, it looked good. And the other thing was this right here. I was like, oh shit, is that a 240? Now this is actually a painting, not a photograph, so like the 240 is a little off. But those bipods I would recognize anywhere. This is it's really hard to understand if you weren't like in the military, went to war, and dedicated to like one weapon system, like the 240, which is a cruise serve. It's like you can show me any part of it. like some sort of game they would put on the back of a cereal box. Like, you can show me the close up of one of the bipods and I'll be like, that's 240. Just sidebar, there's nowhere in America where you can just kick through the front door of a gun shop and just grab a 240 with ammo. You need a federal firearms license. Although I don't know, maybe it's different in New Mexico. Yeah, it was just like, oh, 240. They got a 240. All right. Oh, I like this. So this one, the other reason I went to go see it is that it seemed like there was a campaign against it, specifically to diminish it, discredit it, keep people from seeing it. And I'm like, I don't really know this writer-director, but he's had 2 movies very well received. I think the last one, Beau is Afraid, everyone was just like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this movie. This is kind of a combination of this. And it's funny, so 2/3 of it is that kind of Coen Brothers, Robert Altman thing. And then the last, and something similar with the Love Lies Bleeding. It seems like there's with A24, there's, they'll kind of go with a genre and then just go with like, it's called magical realism, basically like a heightened reality. So like the first 2/3, it could be like a Robert Altman movie. And then the last third, it's like, oh, this is definitely an A24 film. So now I was going to say this at the beginning, but I forgot to say. If anyone makes any stupid ass comment about Pedro Pascal, I'm going to block you. I don't care if you were here for the first day, the first hour of this channel, my main channel. I don't care if you bought every single book, crowdfunded book I sold. And this is actually related to the movie, the theme of the movie and the point of the movie. We have to start talking to each other like grown-ups. We used to do it. So you don't have to repeat the words that a closeted conservative YouTuber said about Pedro Pascal. He's in everything. He's in like a rom-com. And yes, he is in 2 things that get released like a week apart. But then he's a working actor at the height. And spoiler, he's only in half this movie. So the other thing is, I don't want to hear about box office. I don't want to hear about Pedro Pascal's and everything. I want people to see this and think about it and talk about it, because that's the point. The point is people hide behind screens, even when they're right in front of each other, and then they want to talk when it's too late. The other thing this is about, and this is a thing where this is what movies used to, nobody cared about box office. Nobody gave a fuck about box office. Nobody knew who the head of the studio was. Unless like, what was with Disney, they had like the Disney Sunday movie or some shit like that. So I think it was Michael Eisner. He made a real point of like, I'm Michael Eisner and I'm in charge of Disney. This is like the late 80s. But like, then you would be like, oh, I know that guy. But you didn't know. You just saw movies, and then you would go to like Denny's or IHOP with your friends, because you had friends, you had real life friends, and you would talk about this. So this movie that everyone is going to pretend to not understand is very simple to understand. It's basically about 2 things. It's about, social media kind of destroying us and destroying communities, and it's about trauma. And I actually had an epiphany about trauma while watching this, in that trauma is when something terrible happens to you, and as soon as it ends, you go, oh, that was weird, and you just like continue with your life, and you don't think about it when you really should. You don't deal with it when you really should. And it just kind of festers, in your chest. All these characters have some sort of trauma that happened to them, and they just kind of went like, oh, that was weird, and just kind of moved on. And eventually it's going to bubble up. There's a lot of talk about the tone of this suddenly shifting, and even I talk about it, but it's all there. You're creating a powder keg and then saying like, why did that powder keg explode? Well, because it's a powder keg. Because you put all this trauma and this repressed emotion, and then it's going to come out. So it's a small town in New Mexico, not doing very good. They're about to open a data center. It's during COVID. And again, when I heard this was set during COVID, I was like, that's weird. Because that's like history, but it's recent, and also it wasn't fun. Like, everyone was just glad when it was over. But it's not over. Like, COVID is still out there. I have some super depressing news. And I have a friend who's a very good doctor. And they will literally go to symposia and cry, because we're all fucked up forever. Everyone who got COVID, you had a trajectory of your life and your health and your life expectancy, and everyone that's permanently changed. I almost clicked on this Superman link. So it's right here. This study came out a year or so ago. Every doctor knows about it, but it's being tamped down. One of the reasons is it's worded weirdly. It was a study 3 years after COVID started, but it implies that the effects are only last for 3 years, when really it's just that they only had 3 years to study. And where is it? So basically, everybody who had it's fucked, especially if you had it like the first 2 years. So it's like COVID-19 may increase heart attack and stroke risk for years. And you see may and you go like, oh, that's not really that bad. No, here's the deal. If you had COVID-19 in 2020, that was the equivalent of a coronary artery disease. It's like you just skip to the head of the line of having heart disease. And of course, when I'm trying to find the stats, it's something like if you were hospitalized, you are 4 times more likely for stroke and heart attack if you just had it twice. Everybody had it. So everybody has 2 to 4 times. And again, like it was worded strangely, like, oh, it's more than 3 years since then, so we're good. No, there wasn't like a stopwatch. They just covered 3 years and then they published a study. Damn. So my friend will go to these symposia and cry. And this is not a crying type of person. This is not a morose type of person. This is a very happy, energetic person. And yet, they deal with the reality that everyone else is just kind of ignoring. Like, oh, that was so weird. Yeah, like I got sick and food tasted like metal or wood, but I'm better now. No, you're fucked. You're fucked. You have so much inflammation in your body, in the freaking the walls of your heart, everything. And it's a permanent change for everyone who was alive then, and it's going to be for decades. And nobody's really talking about it. Think about that. Everybody who had COVID has a 2 to 4 increase for heart disease. That is massive, massive news, and nobody's dealing with it. And we also had, kind of like psychic trauma, and just everyone just, oh, that was weird. Yeah, it was weird. And it is something that needs to be talked about, and people need to get into cellular medicine, peptides, all that stuff, because you are fucked up. You don't think you're fucked up, but you are fucked up. So it's dealing with people who are just kind of Charlie Miking, continue movement. It's like, oh, that was weird. Oh, my wife left me in the middle of the night and she never came back. Or this person was, he's had all kinds of shit. He is all kinds of fucked up. And so it's about his life unraveling in this small town that is, again, with the Robert Altman thing. It's not just like, oh, a bunch of, hillbillies in the sticks. Like, it's a very good rendition of a town. It does, again, it is heightened. But one of the points of it is that everyone kind of acts like cartoon versions of themselves. You have George Floyd gets killed, and people all over the world have to chime in. And a lot of it is performative. And you'll see people kind of perform this way of believing and then kind of just switch. And then at the end, it's just a bunch of shooting. But this guy is I'm blanking. Is he a sheriff? Because there's one of the ongoing things is like this jurisdictional argument, because you have the Native American reservation, and it's on the border of the town, but then you have the city, like the city versus county versus, I think it's called BIA, ambassadors or something like that. Basically, cops for Native American reservations. Yeah, Sheriff Joe Cross and Mayor. So the sheriff is running for mayor, and he's doing all kinds of corrupt things, like basically ordering his deputies to vote for him and be on his campaign. And he turns his sheriff's vehicle into this very gaudy, what do you call it? Politician's vehicle. And it's funny. They actually had so I got back home last night and I was like, I need the plot summary of this so bad, and nobody had it, but some people have filled it out. So how do I say this? This movie is crazy, but it makes sense. Especially if you get into that this is a heightened reality. One of the things that I saw people really trying to target this is that they're like, oh, it's just both sides. And most of those people were on the left, and they were really angry that, like, Antifa is, well, I'm not going to spoil the Antifa thing, but they wanted a movie where it's like, oh, those Republicans. And I mean, you have the lead who is, basically Republican conservative and essentially turns into a villain. But I think they don't like that he's sympathetic, and you see his whole journey and you kind of understand how he got to that point. And, it's good. It's really good. It's very difficult. It's funny. Usually, so I checked the Rotten Tomatoes, and it was like almost exactly equal with the critics and the audience at 67%. Usually that means it's bad. I interpreted that 67% was a classic, understandable, Robert Altman style film, and the last third was like a crazy A24 magical realism. But it was like set up, like they set up that he's a really good shot, basically with just like one line of dialogue and one prop. He talks to a guy, he's like, hey, you're pretty good, but not as good as me. Joaquin Phoenix is excellent. It's funny, with like Emma Stone, I was like, oh, is that his daughter? It's like, oh no, she's 40. she's near 40, so she's not playing daughters anymore. So Pedro Pascal is good. I do have to say something. Most likely he is a closeted gay man, although not really closeted anymore. And he's been very flamboyant, which is his right as a human to be. But considering his career is mostly playing traditionally masculine tough guys, so he plays, generals and mercenaries and soldiers and business magnates. And he's supposed to be that kind of, tough guy. But after all the sashaying he's been doing this year, it got a lot more difficult to believe him in this role. You start noticing the little mannerisms, the little lilt in his voice, and you're like, yeah, is this like the character? Is the character like a closeted gay guy? Because that's how he's coming off. But I would say the part that worked the least was Austin Butler. He's just... There was a thing that kind of went away and he brought it back. Like, when did James Dean die? Like, around 1960, late 50s? But, like, every actor, they would affect this, like, James Dean persona. I mean, this lasted forever. This lasted until, like, the early 2000s. And then it went away. Just because, James Dean was, like, so far in the past. And then he brought it back. And he's so, like, squinting and, like, oh. I'm like, okay, we get it. You like James Dean. It's like, I found him pretty cheesy. Every time he showed up, I was like, that guy. Good. Really great. This is I had a friend who went to go see the latest Jurassic Park movie, And then he was complaining about it. I'm like, wait, you saw that? He's like, yeah, like you just saw it like it was a movie for you. He's like, yeah. I'm like, Jurassic Park movies are made so that Mexican kids have something to see at their birthday party. Like, you're a grown man in his 50s. Why are you watching a Jurassic Park movie? He didn't really know what to say after that. But this is the type of movies that are made for grown-ups. You're meant to go there. You're meant to be challenged. You're meant to go talk about it with people afterwards. I am going to read this because there are some parts where, I think I got it. Like at the end, he's in this big fight. Okay, yeah, so I'm reading it. No, I understood. Yeah. One other thing I liked, and again, this is kind of like an infantry thing, is the way they shot nighttime. So if you watch movies, nighttime is bright as fuck. Now, there's this thing called day for night where they literally shoot during the day, and then they just adjust it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, think about every night scene you've ever seen and how easy it is to see everything and how bright the sky is because they adjust, the levels thing. They light it, for that. But especially like when I first, started going to the field, which is like a weekly training op, once you get done with boot camp and SOI, I really became like acquainted with the night. I know that sounds very dramatic, but if you just lead a regular civilian life, what is nighttime? Nighttime is you walking from, the movie theater to your car, and they've got lights everywhere, and then you walk from your driveway to your front door. You're not just like out there, like, okay, we're done training for the day, but we got fire watch, so you're just going to be up like half the night. So the way they shoot the night is it's dark. I don't know. That just really stuck out to me. But just to wrap this up, this is a good movie, maybe a great movie. It's a difficult movie. It's a challenging movie because you're not a Mexican kid at your own birthday party. So they trust you. They trust that you can handle nuance and irony and satire mixed with drama and, yes, a little bit of comedy. Not in the laugh out loud, but in the, the ridiculousness of it all. Looking at the cast to see if there was a character that I thought was going to be a Gordon Goodbrother, which is just this kind of like bland black guy who just does everything right and everyone likes him. And they do some really interesting stuff with that character. This other character, not so much, but this couple right here, this is very interesting. This mom character is actually pretty interesting. They have all these, they're not really showing them here. No. But they have like a Rittenhouse thing that kind of develops over the course of the movie. But go see it. It's not going to be in movie theaters very long. Go see it with some people you can talk to about it. Go to IHOP, go to Denny's, go to, not Waffle House. Waffle House is fucking terrible. I finally went to Waffle House. That was awful. Just awful. Terrible food. But yeah, this is what you're meant to see. You're not meant to see Black Adam. You're not meant to see Jurassic Park Rebirth. Are you in your late 30s, 40s, 50s? This is the type of movie that was for people your age for like all of cinema until like 10 years ago, when all of a sudden everyone's like how they are now. And you don't need to be like that. Also, you look like a stupid asshole when you act like that. Anyway, message. Anyway, thanks for watching.